It's the Ed Bernstein Show, Home Edition. Now, here's your host, Ed Bernstein.
Hey, welcome to our show. It is with my great pleasure to talk today with Commissioner Michael Naft, who I've known for a long, long time. And a little bit later in the show, judicial candidate Carli Kierny will be here. So, Michael, you worked for years as a congressional liaison. Is that the term?
Yeah, that works. I was the district director for the House of Representatives.
District director, which means that you really touched a lot of people in the same district that I guess your county commission seat is in now, right? You worked in that district for years.
Yeah, so I worked in the 1st Congressional District, which overlaps a little bit with District A, which I now represent. That district goes from Flamingo Road all the way south to the California-Arizona border. It goes west as far as Durango and east as far as Eastern. So it's a huge chunk, kind of the bottom bit of Nevada, and represents geographically a huge amount of different areas. It has a piece of West Henderson, and then it has the unincorporated townships of Enterprise, Spring Valley, a piece of Paradise, and Laughlin and Searchlight. So it really is urban, suburban, and rural.
So how do you A, balance that, and then B, in balancing it, can you talk about the differences when you worked in the congressional world and the federal level? Now you're in the county level. You're working, kind of the streets right now, right? So can you talk about those two things?
I think all of these jobs, what they are at the core is customer service. It's what they ought to be. It's why I enjoy doing this type of work, is because it gives me a position to really be able to help people navigate government at all levels. When I was district director, I helped the Congresswoman and her constituents of the 1st Congressional District navigate thousands of different agencies, departments, and levels of government. It's my view that when someone comes to my office, they don't necessarily need to know, do they live in the city of Las Vegas, the unincorporated portion of Clark County, what township do they live in? Is the issue they're calling about federal, state, local? That's where we can be of assistance, helping them navigate them to the right place and making sure that in the end, the bottom line is that they get the services that they need or the assistance that they've come to seek out. So that's what I love about the job. That's been the same in my former capacity as it is now. One thing I do love about Clark County and being able to work on these issues at the local level is that you're exactly right. You really are working on backyard issues. It is personal. It's things that directly impact people's lives day to day. And then what I really personally find enjoyable about the job is that we get to tackle such a wide swath of issues. When you think about it, the Clark County Commission serves as the Board of Trustees of UMC, the state's busiest hospital. We are also own and operate 5 airports, including the nation's 14th busiest airport, McCarran International. So on a day-to-day basis, we're covering everything from tourism, transportation issues, international travel, to people's health and welfare. And then in the unincorporated portion of Clark County, we're in many ways all they've got. They don't have a city councilor and a mayor. They just have a county commissioner. So we're doing public works at the local level for unincorporated Clark County. We're doing zoning matters and comprehensive planning. So those are the things that really impact people's lives and really are what make a community what it is.
You've also been very active in neighborhood policing. What exactly is that?
Well, I think it is very important that now more than ever, but we need to make sure that local law enforcement has the resources they need. I agree with Sheriff Lombardo that it's wrong that the county detention center is the state's largest mental health facility. But I don't think that we can, I think we need to tackle mental health, but I think we need to do it in parallel with providing law enforcement the resources they need to do the job. So it's things like utilizing and adapting modern technology. Things like the program ShotSpotter has been an incredible asset to this county. It's helped Metro already since we've implemented it. It's helped Metro apprehend and find shootings that took place that were never even reported, and has helped us lead to real results.
What is that? What exactly is it?
So ShotSpotter is a technology that Metro has implemented, which allows for the ping of a bullet being shot to be detected. So this isn't a privacy issue. There's no audible sounds being detected, but when a gun is fired, the sound from the bullet being discharged is able to be heard through a ping. And it literally, when that happens, if it's in Clark County, I get a ping on my phone, so it helps me understand the crime rates that are going on in the community. But more importantly, Metro gets an all-out alert to their computer systems, so that before a member of our community even picks up the phone to call 911, it's already essentially been reported. A squad car is already en route to the scene, and hopefully is helping piece together what may have occurred. It's been really an effective tool already since it's been implemented within the last year.
Wow, I was totally unaware of it. It sounds like a great advance in technology to really get the police to where they need to go quickly.
It is, and it's also been, for better or worse, eye-opening to see how many of these incidents take place that are never reported. I think you have a variety of things. Some people might not necessarily know what they've heard. Some people might feel intimidated to call police for various reasons. So this has helped really detectives and frontline police officers know what's going on in the community and then go out and do some investigative work.
Another area I'd really like to see some progress in is this bullet train. Now, it's been, 30, 40 years I've been hearing about a bullet train between Las Vegas and Southern California, but I guess it's really going to happen.
Well, Ed, I'm all in on this current plan. I've been a huge champion for it early on for a couple reasons. One, and I have to emphasize this is the first serious presentation that's been made that requires not a penny of taxpayer dollars. It's privately funded. In fact, they're out right now selling $2.8 billion in bonds and have been very successful. It's also a proven model. Brightline is who's operating the system. They're operating successfully in Florida. It's been really beneficial for the market there. They did an initial proof of concept and have already expanded. And also for the environmental significance of this project. I think there's only so many more weekends that we can allow our California tourists to sit on the I-15 heading south for 8 hours before they get tired of coming here. We have to do something about it, and I think this Brightline train is going to be a huge part of it. I'm also glad that we now have California not only at the table, but an enthusiastic partner in making this happen, which we hadn't seen in previous iterations of high-speed rail to California. So this project really has a lot of good things going for it. Like you, I've been hearing about it my entire life. So it is really exciting to get to be a small assistance to help make it a reality. And I'm just really anxious to see it move forward. It also, some of the other benefits I mentioned the 15 heading south. You're talking about removing about 4.5 million cars off that interstate every year. You're also talking about in the construction phase in Nevada alone, putting about 10,000 people to work. So there are environmental impacts, there's travel and tourism impacts, and I just think it's going to be a benefit to the quality of life for people who live, certainly who live in District A, but any part of Southern Nevada.
I love it. It seems like a win-win-win all around. How long would a project like that take?
Well, they think they can get it done in 2 years. They know what they're doing. They're all the environmental work has been completed. They have the right of way. The approvals for the station has already come before the county commission, and I supported moving that forward. So they're really ready to go. That station, for those who are interested, is slated to be on about 150 acres that sit at Robindale and Las Vegas Boulevard, which I just think is a perfect nexus to the southern part of the Strip, Allegiant Stadium, the car rental facility at McCarran, which has transportation to McCarran. I just can't say enough about how enthusiastic I am, not just about the rail line, but also about where it's going to end up.
Yeah, no, it seems like a great idea. The only criticism I ever hear is that it doesn't really go into LA.
Victorville. Yes.
I mean, so how is that? I mean, is that only a pit stop, and later it's going to be expanded, or how's it going to work?
Yeah, so and that's something that certainly, like any Las Vegas or Southern Nevada resident, would be a concern to mine who wants to go to Victorville. And are you really going to give up your car to then have to rent a car in Victorville? But this is all part of a longer process. The train is actually working simultaneously. So the goal being when the Brightline train from Las Vegas Boulevard and Robindale to Victorville opens, it'll be timed right with the connector to downtown Los Angeles, so that you'll be able to connect from the high-speed rail to a more traditional system that links in with the California network.
Wow. You get this finished, man, and I will praise you for the next 10 years.
All right. I look forward to it.
I mean, this is exciting. This is really exciting.
This would be huge, and I hate to overstate it, but others have said, and I would tend to agree, this could be the largest infrastructure project Nevada's seen since the Hoover Dam. It has the potential to have some really significant impacts on our community.
You know, every day I read the paper, you get these reports on what's happening with COVID-19, and I guess it's Clark County reports that I'm looking at. How are we faring? I mean, especially in relationship to other places.
I think no doubt we are a community unlike any others. The fact that just by virtue of having so many people come through our valley who don't live here, who come from a variety of different places, who, because there really aren't any centralized rules from the federal government coming down, everybody has a different way of doing things. So no doubt we've had significant challenges. I'm really proud, as my role as a trustee with UMC, to see what they've done. The testing they've implemented has been incredible. There's been no shortages of testing here in our community. If you want to get tested, you can. I'm really proud to see those individuals who sort of stepped up, whether or not you agree with different aspects of the restrictions. If you agree or not that wearing a mask is good, you ought to do it for the economic security of our community, because unlike other jurisdictions, we don't have the benefit of, let's shut down and reopen, shut down and reopen. We got to get this right. And I think that you heard the governor recently talk about being the gold standard. I think that is very important, that we are expressing not just a confidence, but really a level of security to the CEOs of associations who right this moment are making the decision whether they cancel or not their Q3 and Q4 conferences of next year. We've already seen we've lost quite a few shows in Q1 and 2, but this is about how can we recover quickly and safely. We can't make a commitment to those trade shows that everything's going to be okay and drop the ball and have to, and they will make the decision to cancel. It's not our decision. It's being driven by the market, for better or worse. So yeah. I think it's about how do we get this right? How do we follow the advice of the research community and the scientific experts who actually know a thing or two about this? Locally through UMC, we really have had some expertise, and also through the work of the health district. They've been a really good partner of ours. So I'm always cautious to say it. We've had a couple really good weeks. The contraction rate has gone down. We have had no issues with hospitalization in quite a while and hope to keep it that way. But we want to make sure that as we recover, as we reopen, that we're doing it in a way that guarantees the long-term success. And that's why right from the very start of this, back in March, we always saw this as a sort of two-prong approach. How do you get number one, you've got to look out for the health and the welfare and the well-being of residents of Clark County. But at the same time, you have to look at how can we make sure we're doing it in a way that's going to secure our economic success in the future. So that's why we've prioritized with the Federal CARES Act dollars that our delegation fought for Clark County, that we've made sure to use those in a way that are going to benefit as many people as possible. So when appropriate, how can we give a grant to a business that is going to both employ people in our community, but also allow them to pay their rent so that their local landlord is able to have some security. So by making sure we're strategically using those funds, we can help 3 people instead of helping 1 in many cases.
Well, look, it's very challenging. It's great to have young, energetic, optimistic county commissioners like you to help facilitate this. So best of luck in the election. County Commissioner Michael Naft, running for re-election. Don't forget that face with that nice little beard.
Thank you, Ed. Good to be back with you.
Thank you. My daughter Dana fought a long battle with Crohn's disease before passing last year.
It's our goal to help the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation find a cure for this horrible disease.
Join Max and I in scoring our goal to find a cure. Welcome back. With me now is Carli Kierny, candidate for District Court Judge.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
And Carli, you work at my old alma mater, the Clark County Public Defender's Office, and it's a great training ground.
Absolutely. We get to be in court a lot. We get to be around some great people, and we have a lot of really great alumni like you.
Yeah. You grew up where? Chicago? So talk a little bit about where you grew up, your family, that type of thing.
So I grew up in a Chicago suburb. Both of my parents were public school teachers. And so I remember, even though they had their master's degrees, they were always reading, they were always learning. There was always Scientific American out in our house. And so I kind of, from them, I developed this love of reading and also a love of, constantly learning. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And they were always helping people in the community. And so I took that sort of dedication to public service, and that's what made me become a public defender.
Of course, enjoying reading a lot is a good foundation for becoming an attorney, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. You moved to Vegas?
In 2010, yeah. I moved to be closer to my husband's family. We've got 2 kids, so we wanted to be closer to aunts, uncles. He's got a giant family out here, so it's lovely to see the kids grow up with their cousins and, run around, play with them. And sometimes babysitting is nice, too.
And one of the things that you're active in is working within the probation system.
So a couple years ago, there was a push to try to get the kind of community leaders together to talk about different issues that were plaguing the criminal justice system. And they started doing this all over the country. And I got the privilege to appear on the Countywide committee on improving probation outcomes. So probation is obviously when you are being sentenced on a felony or gross misdemeanor, you can get anything from probation all the way up to prison or jail time. And so probation is people that we've looked at in the justice system, and we've decided, there's definite rehabilitation ability here. And, this is somebody that we want to see do better. This is somebody that we want to rehabilitate into a citizen who can be productive. And so these are people that we're kind of taking a chance on in the justice system, but it's also good for society if these people are able to kick whatever problems they have and go on to, help and lead in the communities. So one problem that, we were having is there's just kind of this breakdown between P&P, which is the Department of Parole and Probation, who supervises probationers, and the rest of the justice system. So we meet every month and we talk about issues. One of the cool things that came out of this was the Day Reporting Center. There were a lot of people who on probation were struggling to get their requirements done, things like getting a GED, getting job training, getting mental health counseling, getting drug counseling. And so they set up this Day Reporting Center that's a one-stop shop, and everybody, you go there and you meet with a counselor and you meet with everybody, and you can get it all done there. And so it's a little bit more intensive, but they've gotten really great results, and they've had some graduations, and it's just wonderful to hear the stories of people who've managed to get their lives together and sometimes get kids back, things like that, because of this center.
What is the biggest obstacle? Is it that once somebody's convicted of a crime and even if they receive probation, it must be difficult to get a job? Is Absolutely. That really an issue? Yeah. Yeah,
that's an issue. I mean, a lot of times the trades, the unions offer a really great second chance. Those are good options. And there's a couple programs out there like Hope for Prisoners and FIT that offer job training that make these seem like more attractive candidates for people to hire. So it is hard, but also sometimes it's just hard when probationers don't come from a stable home or they just don't have the tools to reach out on their own. And so this kind of Day Reporting Center helps bring everything to one place.
Carli, why did you decide to run for district court judge?
Like I said, I've always had a strong commitment to public service. And so that was kind of the next step so that I could help more people. As a public defender, I work with defendants, and it's my great honor to, kind of help them through some of the darker days of their lives. I've also worked with victims at Safe Nest and helping them through domestic violence situations, helping them get resources. And so this was just kind of a way that I can help both sides. And, I can go out into the community more and, volunteer and just help more people from both sides.
Yeah, and can you explain what Safe Nest is?
Absolutely. Safe Nest is the domestic violence charity. And if somebody is going through a domestic violence incident, we can help them get counseling. We can help them get housing if that's what they need. They do have a shelter. And then we can also help them get resources so they can get back on their own feet.
Of course, in the criminal justice system, this is a very difficult time with COVID-19. Firstly, there's not many jobs available for people that are looking for jobs now. And of course, dealing with all the other ramifications of COVID-19 is not good for people on probation.
Absolutely. I mean, COVID has impacted so many things. It's made it so much more difficult. But, there's a lot of organizations, including the courts and everything, trying to come up with creative solutions. So, right. I mean, it's exposing the best and the worst in our systems, I think.
Of course, innovation is what it's going to take for us to begin trials again. Justice delayed is justice denied. You lose witnesses, evidence. We need to get back in court and having our trials again. So what are we doing about that?
I was actually ready to start a trial on Monday. And so I got pretty familiar with what the 8th Judicial District Court is doing to try to get those trials back. Now, as a public defender, trials are really important to me. I can't think of a better mechanism for resolving a conflict than getting 12 people in the box. And so not having those has really made everything stall for personal injury clients. There's no settlements on the horizon for defendants, for victims, for everybody. We're just stagnating. So I think it's important that we get jurors in and get these trials started. And so they've taken a lot of safety precautions to try to make jurors feel comfortable and make jurors, okay with serving. And some of those things include they're sending out we're doing more questionnaires. So ahead of jury service, you'll fill out some of the, basic questions that would be asked anyway, and those will go to the lawyers. When we're doing voir dire, which is the process where you question the jurors individually, if you've ever been to jury selection, that takes sometimes the longest in a case. And so we're doing that voir dire socially distanced in the voir dire room, which is a huge space. So people aren't sitting next to each other and the attorneys are, kind of in front asking those questions. You don't get to a courtroom until you actually are picked for the jury. And then you'll go to one of the two special courtrooms that we have. And those are partitioned with, there's plexiglass partitions, and the jurors are kind of staggered throughout the courtroom itself. So social distancing is being adhered to. People are wearing masks. Everything is being constantly sanitized. So we need those jurors. And if you get your jury summons, please be aware that every precaution possible has been made to try to make you safe. But at the same time, only if you're comfortable.
Yeah, every time they pick a jury, they pick some alternates in case something happens and somebody can't serve during the trial. It may be more likely now that you may need more alternates.
Yeah, that's a great point. I imagine this typical 2 alternates might not be enough, so maybe they'll be looking to 3. Like I said, we're trying to be flexible and creative, but that's a good idea to have more alternates for sure.
What kind of qualities do you look for in a district court judge?
I think it's incredibly important to be patient, first of all. A lot of times in different situations, you're dealing with people who are not thrilled to be in court. It's not how anyone chooses to spend their day. And so, whether it's a juror or a defendant or a victim or, a pro se litigant in a civil matter, or lawyers even sometimes, this isn't their first choice of where to be. So I think it's important to be patient and explain things as best you can and not lose your temper with people because, like I said, you got to have some empathy for them. And that's another thing that I think is really important for a judge to have, is empathy. You have to be able to put yourself in another person's shoes. We can't have sympathy. We can't be, taking one side or the other, but empathy is super important. And then I think something that you brought up earlier, reading is important to be a lawyer. I think it's even more important for a judge. There's an incredible amount of filings every day, and especially in civil cases. And the Supreme Court is coming up with new decisions every day. And you just got to keep up on that. And luckily, I really enjoy reading.
How would you describe the experience of running for a judge?
Well, as you can see, I have not had the normal experience because I've been running in 2020 and nothing has been normal. But it's a little overwhelming at first because there are all of these interviews that you need to go to for endorsements, and there's a lot of people in the community that you need to get to know, different groups who will support you, who won't support you. And it's really hard, honestly, to try to figure out where are you actually going to be able to talk to voters. A lot of it, you'll go to meetings and that are in community groups, and there'll be mostly candidates there. So you really want to find spots where you can be talking to voters one-on-one and getting your message out there. And it's especially hard during COVID. So, I'm very appreciative of a lot of the Zoom meetings that have been done. You're able to get out to, the more rural counties or rural cities, in the county. And you can talk to them, one-on-one. And so that's been good. But at the same time, it's just been a difficult year to try to get that voter contact. I really had planned on doing a lot of walking and, feet on the ground, talking to voters kind of thing. And that really hasn't been what COVID wants for us. So it's been a difficult challenge, but, we've been adapting, and I've met some of the nicest people and it's really been a positive experience overall.
And how do you balance, your job, running for election, and your family?
Wow. There have been days when I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have these 3 different jobs. Like you said, I've got my kids and my home, and I've got work, and I've got this campaign. I feel like I'm failing at all of them. And I think the key is just to, you got to have a lot of support system. I've got a couple of friends and things that are running with me. And so we have a lot of the ability to bounce things off of each other and text with each other when things are going badly. It's really, you need to have a village to get through this with those 3 jobs. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's just, you got to keep going. You can't stop because a breakthrough is just kind of on the horizon. So.
Well, best of luck to you. Carli Kierny is running for a district court judge. So we're once again helping you get to know your candidates. Good luck, Carli.
Thank you so much, Ed.
If you've been injured, turn to someone you can trust. Enough said. Call Ed.
A work injury affects more than just you. It affects your family, too. If you're hurt, call me.